Check, 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 check. Well, I can hear myself. Why?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Hey, I can't complain. Living the dream.
Awesome. I'm gonna have to apologize. I don't have a nice mic, but I guess this is for your magazine, right? So it's not like a podcast, so I hope that
No,
works.
I'm probably gonna post the recording as maybe bonus content on Patreon, but for the most part, I'm going to write up an interview. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it's nice to meet you finally. It's been nice
Yeah.
talking to you over Messenger.
No doubt. It's been really great to talk to you also and to finally meet. I'm a big fan. I've kind of online stalked you for the past year, just kind of a fan of just things that you've done and your message. I'm a big fan, and it's great to finally have a chat.
Wow, thanks for that. I didn't know I had any fans. That makes me feel awesome.
See, isn't that cool? It always miffs me too when people say that about the magazine or whatever. It's always kind of like, really? That's neat. So yeah, big fan.
Cool, cool.
So I just kind of want to keep it pretty casual.
Okay.
I wrote out a couple, just, so I've chosen you to be January's Meet an Anarchist.
Sweet.
So a little bit about my magazine. I've been around since January 2020, so just about a year now. And every month I come out on the 15th, a new issue. Every issue has a bit of a theme. This month's issue is health and staying autonomous in a compromised medical system. And every month we meet an anarchist. And so I've interviewed so far, you'll be my 13th, but I've
Wow.
interviewed 12 other individuals for that. And people like Rachel Nielsen, Greg Papanikolaou, Jeremy Hengeler, um, yeah, Derica Klaus, just some big people, Louis Fernando Mises, among others. So you'd be joining a pretty awesome rank of people.
Yeah, I know all those people. They're all
Yeah, yeah.
good people.
Yeah, a lot of these people I've met through the magazine and just kind of I've been kind of stalking online. Don't do a whole much, but just fans that I like to talk to. And so you're it.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it. So thank you very much
Yeah.
for that. And I know your name on online is Jackie Kerouac, but it's Dharma, right? Just
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's Dharma. So,
I mean,
yeah,
I like the Kerouac reference too. I read On the Road. I don't know, in college. It was awesome.
it is such a good book. I mean, God, I'm such a big fan. I've always kind of aspired to be Jack Kerouac. So when my normal profile, Dharma Iyer, got zucked, I was like, I'm going Jackie.
Cool. Thanks.
So, yeah, so well, welcome back online because I know that you kind of took a break from Facebook, and so it's great to see you back. As always, I'm enjoying your posts. I think they're very relevant and they're engaging, and I, I've enjoyed them thoroughly. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's good to be back online. It was good to take about half a year away from Facebook though. At first it felt really weird. Like it's definitely a bit of an addiction. Um, but I kind of, it kind of like cleaned out my mind in a weird way, and I just kind of reset myself. And then when all the corona stuff really started to get fucking crazy and my friends started to argue and all this stuff started to happen, then I was like, okay, I think it's time to get back in the ring and
Yeah,
start, mixing some stuff up, just because it was driving me nuts not to. Plus the anarchist community, as you know, like in my everyday life there's not many anarchists around me, so just
right.
just to stay sane, being on Facebook was for as bad as it is, it's also a really really great tool still. It's one of the guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I go back, I kind of go hot and cold on social media too. I'm kind
Yeah,
of like,
yeah.
it's such a time waster, but Jeremy especially is always in the background with it has a purpose. like you can't completely discredit it. It's annoying. You just have to use it, more effectively. And so I think for the most part, he's right, as much as I hate it.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely can feel it when it starts to take over my attention in my life and I feel my mood start to crash. But if you use it, it doesn't use you. It's a really
Right.
great tool. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I guess let's start with real basic stuff. How did you find anarchy? How did you find autonomy?
Yeah, well, I think for me, I feel like I've always been an anarchist. That's what I tell people. Since I was in grade school, I just hated school. And I remember arguing with teachers a lot from like third grade.
Yeah.
That probably comes a bit from my dad, who was kind of a constitutionalist type person. I always heard him talking about the government and stuff like that as a child. But I feel like the seed was always there. But when that seed kind of germinated, I guess would be after 9/11. I remember being in high school and seeing that happen like live on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And something that day about the news coverage I had never felt before. It was just, I could tell that they were lying. And at that time, I didn't know how to make sense of that feeling, but it was the
Yeah.
first time I became conscious of it. Like, they're lying. Something's, not right.
Yeah.
And from there, I just started investigating things, then got super into Ron Paul, like so many people.
Yep.
Went to marches for him, went to see him speak in Chicago. And after that, not long after that, I came to Japan. And in Japan, everything just kind of blossomed. I don't know why, but being out of my own, I started watching some Larkin Rose videos. I thought he was a nut job at first. I was like, who is this guy? Well, maybe nut job's too strong of a word, but I saw his video, I'm Allowed to Rob You.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, who is this guy? What the hell is he even talking about? Like, taxes, that's just part of life. But I like to think I've always been logical. And so basically, there was a lot of arguments that I couldn't defeat. And so I
Right.
just followed it to the logical conclusion. At the same time, I left the organized religion I was raised in, left statism, and all at once it just kind of blew up. So that's why Japan has a really special place in my heart, because it all finally happened here. So
That's awesome.
that's the long and short of it. Yeah.
That's great. Well, how did you end up in Japan?
Basically, I went to college to be an elementary school teacher. And in those 4 years, I read myself out of that and realized I never wanted to be a teacher and I hated public schools. And so I said, well, shit, I got this freaking piece of paper that says I'm a teacher now. I don't want to do it. I had always been interested in Japan. And so I found an online job board and just worked out. So I came over here to teach English, and I can teach in private language schools here. I don't have to be in public schools. So
Nice.
I just loved it. And then I just stayed. Now it's been over 10 years. So
Oh, wow. Oh, I hadn't realized that you were there for that long. That's amazing.
yeah, this is home now. So
Yeah, that's
a lot of
amazing.
people say, when are you coming home? And I try to tell them, like, this is it now. I don't
Yeah.
plan on, they're going to have to deport me, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really amazing. I love that you can set your mind to a goal, problem solve. You've got this piece of paper. What are you going to do with it? You're not going to waste it. You're not going to try and reinvent yourself. You're going to go someplace that you think might have the answer. I think that's great.
thanks. Thanks. Yeah, basically I'm always just flying by the seat of my pants, which
It's
makes life really fucking hard sometimes. But also, you have like such a diverse array of experiences that I feel lucky in a way that I think some other people don't have
absolutely.
that.
I wholeheartedly agree. I kind of feel the same way. I kind of just fly haphazardly through life and just hope something sticks somewhere.
Yep, yep, I
Kind of
hear
how I
that.
ended
Yeah.
up with the magazine.
Oh, cool. And the magazine is RT.
So it's Road to Autonomy,
Okay,
and then RTA, just an
RTA.
abbreviated.
Okay, okay, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
awesome. I should have
It,
done my homework on that. Sorry about that. I
no,
just want to
hey,
be sure. Yeah.
we are so inundated with stuff, with memes and with podcasts and with videos and with social media. uh, I don't expect everybody to find us right away, but hopefully with word of mouth, little by little, people find us. And these interviews are great because it is a way for us to network. It's a way for us to kind of exchange ideas. And that's really the whole purpose of my magazine, is to educate anyone, any walk of life, no matter what political affiliation, but to educate. Autonomy is so much more than just myself or my body. It's my food, it's my medicine, it's my home, it's my family, it's my children, it's my career. Autonomy is everything, in my opinion. And the magazine is too. So we've got homesteading advice, how to raise chickens. We've got recipes, how to make food with very little food scraps, how to stretch a dollar, how to find your own food, how to find your own medicine, how to make your own medicine, how to barter and where to barter. We are kind of a hub for all things autonomy. We've got Bitcoin advice, we've got health experts. I've got about 15 regular contributors from just about every walk of life, and we're read on 4 continents, which is huge. So even though we're a year old, we're really trying to foster autonomy and show people it doesn't have to be a life of servitude. It can be so much more. It can be getting out, finding the agora. It can be meeting your neighbor. It can be so much more. And so the more people we can kind of entice into autonomy, the more obsolete the state becomes.
That is awesome. That is
That's the
really cool.
hope. So,
Yeah, that's basically how I look at it too.
yeah. So,
It's
every
deprogramming
person.
by any means possible, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as we know, you being a teacher especially, we all learn differently. Sometimes we learn visually, sometimes we learn audibly, sometimes we learn tactily. And so hopefully the magazine is, you read it. We have stuff to watch. Jeremy does an accompanying podcast called RTA Radio.
Okay.
And so hopefully we're providing enough media to click with a wide array of individuals that are maybe curious about how to take autonomy a little bit further. How can I really own myself, So
Totally.
that's the hope.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, congratulations on 1 year.
Oh,
That's
thank
great.
you. It's really
Yeah.
exciting. So tell me, so COVID is worldwide, and I've seen your posts,
Yeah.
and I'm curious about how life is, because you're right. Japan largely has been meh, but now I'm starting to see more and more assimilation from Japan. So tell me what life is starting to become for you.
Yeah, so from the outside and on the inside too, it looks like, pretty good compared to a lot of places, especially the worst places like UK, Australia, where it's
Yeah.
really draconian, total tyranny basically right now. Like
Whew, yeah.
unbelievable, like, I mean, where you can't even believe the news headlines. But
Oh yeah.
here, it's more of a social pressure. So you don't even really need laws. If there's a suggestion from the government, most people will follow along with it. There's not the spirit of rebellion that you find in the US, unsurprisingly, due to the history.
Right.
So, but now that the vaccine stuff is happening more and more, I can feel the pressure wherever I go. I'm usually the only
Sure.
one without a mask. I teach children, I teach adults. Of course, it comes up in conversation. Why don't you wear a mask? Blah blah blah. So just this week, the government in Tokyo, they were talking about doing a curfew, suggested curfew,
Oh my.
which basically means a curfew, because
Right.
here what happens is if you're the only one breaking the curfew, maybe no one will come to your business anymore, because there's so
Right.
much guilt by association here.
Right.
Oh, he doesn't care about the group, right? It's the group mentality.
Right. Right.
it's getting more and more and more like that. But luckily, there are tiny pockets of people that are protesting.
Excellent.
Very small percentage of the population here, but they do exist. So I think the clampdown here is going to come all at once.
Yeah.
Uh, right now, it's still a good place to be. I can go to the grocery store. I can do whatever. The cops aren't outright murderous psychos like they are in the U.S.
Yeah.
They're not outright murderous psychos here until you're in jail.
Okay.
So
Okay. Just avoid that
that's
place. Okay.
good. But yeah, it's hard to explain. Like, you know, looking at my life objectively, nothing's changed. But inside,
Sure.
I'm going fucking nuts
Sure.
because I can feel the pressure, feel the judgment.
Yeah.
I run the school. I own my own business now, so it's not like I'm working for someone else. So
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm talking to these students about how I feel about this because I can't stay quiet anymore. So
Right.
really, it's risking losing my income. It's a really interesting time to be alive, as you well know. But
Absolutely.
what I think will happen here is basically the same as other places. The vaccine, and then some proof of vaccine required at big events. So slowly you'll see society divided into,
Yeah.
two groups.
Yeah.
The one is going to have to learn how to farm and survive and defend themselves. And a lot of people are going to get sick and probably die. And the other group's just going to,
Assimilate.
go along with whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm nervous, but I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that's probably a perfect way to describe it, like nervous, but hopeful and grateful for what you've got for however long you've got it, I think is probably the best mindset you can be in right now. It's just
yeah, and I think we need stuff like your magazine. Like I was thinking today, like Graham, why don't you make a pen and paper directory like in your notebook? Because I don't have that.
yep. Yep.
And as soon as social media is shut down, it'll be nice to know where these people live in Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds extreme, but if you look at the news, it's not even that extreme. Like I'm telling people, like
Right.
I'm half running this business, and the other half of my mind is getting ready to bug out and go
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
or find people to trade with because I don't know.
I would
Uh,
say both. Be prepared for both, be prepared
yeah,
to barter, start sourcing that stuff now.
yeah,
You may not have to use it right now, but start figuring out who's got what right now and maybe what their price is and what you've got to offer. I mean, that's what I've been telling people in the States is you don't have to necessarily live in the agora 100% right now, but now start shopping, start figuring out where an alternate place to get eggs and milk and cheese and meat and whatever, because if they do require, big if, we're kind of in the community, we're kind of divided in what the vaccine may or may not bring. But I think worst case scenario, you're super prepared with a little black book of food, and best case scenario, you never have to use it, but
yeah.
I would definitely start um, going in that direction just because it has been crazy. It has been watching this unfold, and I'm kind of thinking like, what's going to happen? Like, I'm like
Yeah.
on the edge of my seat right now. So,
So
yeah, I think the
and it's not
magazine,
even like, it's not even like, as we know from things like Ruby Ridge, et cetera, it's not like you can just go off and grow a garden and you're going to be left alone either.
right?
It's like you have
Exactly.
a social security number. Here they have it. It's called My Number. uh, Everyone has My Number, which is your tracking number. So,
Yep.
it's good to network because
Yes.
it's not easy to live outdoors and do things like that. It's not easy to grow food actually without knowledge and
No.
experience. So the more people you have, the more heads you can get together with, the better.
Yes, yes. And I totally support intentional communities. I totally support that Vanu lifestyle that either if you can live on the road, which is not possible for so many people, but you can still adopt that mentality even if you're stuck in one place. You can still
Yeah,
participate just enough to stay under the radar because you're exactly right. We are identified with a number, And anyone that goes divergent, as we've seen in history, becomes labeled a problem.
Yeah.
And so we don't really want to make a lot of noise. We don't really want to make a lot of waves. We just kind of want to settle in where we're at and be left alone, right? So the better we can do that, the more autonomous that we can do that, the more less interaction with the state that we can have, the better, I think. No matter where you're at, no matter what state or country or nationality, I think just the more distance you can provide between you and the proverbial enemy, I think the better.
Totally. And I even think making, for lack of a better word, making allies with people who are even like, I'm totally against, I'm not going to get this vaccine, but I have
Yeah,
some people in my life that just have common sense or basic human decency.
yeah,
And even though they're on the fence, they would never advocate that I be forced to. So
right,
I think right now, valuing those people and letting the other people go is super important, because those people at clutch time are not going to be the people that are going to rat you out for something, or
right.
you know what I mean?
Yep,
So
I do.
I've even been focusing on those people in my circle. Okay, I don't agree with you at all about that, but you're totally cool about living, and
Yep.
live and let live. So
Exactly right. And I have quite a few. My daughter actually, her best friend, or their parents are big Trump supporters. Like their car is decorated in the flags and the very big Trump family, which is fine. It is what it is. I don't agree with them whatsoever, but they're people I trust.
yeah,
I don't. Our politics don't align at all, but we respect each other enough to say, yeah, okay. You do you, I'll do me, we'll be fine. And so, yeah, so it's, I think you're right. I think networking outside of that stereotypical anarchy circle, I think is where the bread and butter's at. It turns out there's quite a few people that are quote unquote statists that I trust, that are here locally. I don't agree with them whatsoever, but they're good people. They're just not really prepared to face the full truth, and
right,
there's no
right.
going back. So I try and have compassion for that, because once you take that veil off, man,
Yeah, it's spooky.
it's
It's
hard.
very
It's
spooky.
hard. It's super
Yeah,
hard. So I try and have compassion, like that Band-Aid hurts like a mother taking it off. So, hopefully they'll take it off little by little. I keep putting little bugs in their ears, and, we just do the best we can.
yep, for sure.
So, do you have children of your own?
Yeah, I have a son, an 8-year-old son, and that's it.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I have a 9-year-old daughter. That's
Oh,
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes.
it's exciting. It's exciting, and it's difficult right now, because you have, God, you remember how it was being a kid when you were a kid and you didn't have to deal with this. And so it becomes an added dimension of difficulty being a parent right now, especially if you're trying to keep yourself sane so that you can put on a good show. Everything's fine.
Yeah, totally. And thinking about the future for our kids, it's one of the biggest things that stresses me out right now, and one of the things that makes me want to prepare, because obviously
Yes,
that's our job to protect them. So
absolutely.
yeah, I was really stressing about the way the world is now, but yeah, I had a friend, another anarchist friend. His name's Gabriel Shear. You might know him as well.
I
He's in
don't.
Peru. Um,
Okay.
but he said, don't worry about it too much. Kids are super adaptable. And as long as they know the truth, when I look at my son, it's true. Like, he knows all this COVID stuff is BS. Like,
Yeah, mine too.
he's 8, but they know. And
Yeah,
with him, it's never been like I'm brainwashing him. I always try to tell him, this is what I think. You don't have to think this way.
right.
Um, but yeah, it does totally suck. I mean, his big dream, we unschool. So
I
he doesn't go to
know.
public school, which it's another thing people don't really realize about Japan, is it's really easy to do here, and the state
Nice.
really doesn't get in your way. You just
That's
don't have to
excellent.
send your kid to school. Um, put
That's
on a
really
good
nice.
face, show them that you're giving them an education. And anyway, he wanted to go to Egypt, And so he was going to this free school. I had a different job at the time that paid pretty well. I was writing for Bitcoin.com at the time,
Nice.
news articles. And so we said, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to take him out of the free school. We're going to do the world schooling thing, start to travel. And that was February 2020. So then there was like a stock market crash. The
Yep.
Corona thing happened all at once,
Yep.
or the news, launched it. They launched the campaign.
Yep.
I lost my job at Bitcoin.com. Travel is shut down.
Yep.
So it's like, shit, man. Now what? But through the whole thing, he's been super adaptable and just do what we can. I mean, I guess it's a
Yeah.
teaching opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know what the future holds, but these days I'm just trying to I've kind of given up on the trying to share more data and facts and logic with people, and kind of
Same.
now am leaning towards keeping myself sane,
Yeah.
doing positive stuff and preparation.
Yep.
So
Yep. I
yeah,
think that's smart to definitely take care of the mental health, because it's, I mean, anarchists already self-isolate. That's just
yeah,
the natural state of an anarchist, I think. Even the community-minded ones still kind of self-isolate. You throw in Corona too, and man, we huddle down in our holes and we just wait for it to stop. And if it doesn't stop after 9 months, oh my gosh. So it's been really, there are days where I kind of wake up and I can feel the weight of the world like pulling me down. And I'm
yeah,
like, oh man, today's not a good social media day. Today's a mental health day.
100%. I mean, even if you really have a strong mind,
Oh, it's hard.
it's very depressing. And I think a lot of people, maybe on the outside, like statists, have an image of voluntarists or anarchists as people who just don't care. But everybody's social. I mean, for me, I'm really introverted, but I really hate that we can't do normal
Yeah.
social stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
really also can tell when people are thinking negative things about me in public. And as much as I really
Yeah.
don't care at the end of the day, as you know, that pressure adds up.
Oh, it
And like you
does.
said, it just makes you want to isolate even more until you're like, oh fuck, today's not going to be a good day. Like I
Yeah.
feel slightly insane today. Like
Yeah.
if someone pushes me the wrong way, like what am I going to overreact? So
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, just
yeah.
keeping it together for sure.
Yeah, it's been difficult. So I applaud folks like you that have the satire posts and kind of the things that keep it light, and it's very relevant, and it's very COVID, and it's very like, this is so ridiculous, but that lightheartedness where I can kind of like stop and
Thanks.
chuckle and, oh, okay, it is just ridiculous. It's not just in my head, like other
Right,
people see
right.
this ridiculousness too. So
You know
it's
what's funny
been
though is
interesting.
that stuff comes from a super heavy place usually.
Does it?
And that's like, even making those videos in this past year has been a big gift to me. Like, well, how do I deal with this
Yep.
shit? And make something like that and just start to laugh a little bit. That's
It's important. I mean, it's a gift
so
for a lot of people. So thank you. So
cool. I
it's nice
appreciate
to
it.
kind of just breathe for a minute, to just kind of appreciate the ridiculousness of it, observe the ridiculousness of it, and then hopefully move on.
Yeah, if it wasn't tragic, it would be hilarious. Like the stuff I saw yesterday, DC Shoes, like the skateboard
Uh-huh.
company,
Yeah.
they got a virus. I thought it was a joke. It's called an antivirus jacket. There's a picture of this dude in Tokyo made with Tyvek home wrap material. And the dude's got a plastic visor standing in the middle of Tokyo. And I thought it was a joke.
It's not a
And then it's
joke.
like, wait a minute. In a few seconds, I realized this is for real.
Oh
So
man,
every day is like just living in a dream.
a nightmare.
Gotta
Oh my
laugh. Gotta
gosh.
laugh.
You have to laugh. Otherwise you go insane. Yeah.
It's true.
Oh man. So how do you keep, so okay, let's sidestep whether or not COVID is real.
Okay.
Let's just say it's a different strain of a flu. How do you stay healthy How do you keep your kid healthy? As we know, kids are gross. At least mine is gross. I'm sure yours is probably a little bit gross. So how
Yeah.
do we stay healthy in this? You know, do you pop vitamins? Do you get a lot of sun? Drink a lot of water? What do you do?
Yeah, for me, all of those things. Well, I don't really take vitamin supplements, but I took up running about 3 years ago. Well, take up is such a lame old man way to say it, but I started running,
Okay.
and that's been huge for me. So running, eating lots of garlic, getting lots of sunlight. I just saw today the MSM is coming out with articles now. Studies are finding vitamin D can help fight corona. It's like, yeah, everyone's been saying that. We've been saying that since the start. He's like,
Right.
oh, you holistic health nuts.
Yeah.
Like, no, you fucking idiot. Like, the sun has made us healthy for ages.
Yep.
So for me, that's it. Diet. And I try, we're talking about our kids. I try to keep my son healthy. Uh, Doing some exercise, not spending all day on the device, although a lot of days are kind of like that, especially with the way.
Anymore, especially right now. Yeah. It's
Yep.
hard to avoid right now.
So, and yeah, not to loop back too far, but like you said, kids these days, like I remember growing up with my cousins and playing outside all day.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as kids being gross, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but like my
She's
son picks his nose and eats it still all the time.
yeah, it's
I
so
actually
gross.
read online that is that monkeys do that too. And the reason that kids do that and then just suddenly stop as
Yeah.
they become, adolescents or whatever, is because it's a genetic thing where the body's building the immune system.
Hmm.
So kids do it, and I read that they don't even realize they're doing it. They're just feeding themselves bacteria, which is
Okay.
gross. It's gross, right?
It's gross.
But after I read that, I watched my son, and he truly doesn't realize when he'll be talking to someone like in a conversation or just like spacing out. I'm like, do you
Yeah.
know what you're doing right now? What? What? So I think the grossness of kids like playing in the dirt, licking railing and stuff like that, I'd probably
Yeah.
keep them healthy
You know, it has
for the
to.
most part
It has
because
to.
you know
She's so
exposure to stuff
gross.
is important.
It really is. I mean, it used to be back when we were kids. They would say, rub some dirt in it,
Oh yeah,
or
that's a good point.
like
Yeah,
just eat worms or just get in there, just get out there and do the stuff and lick the windows and lick the doorknobs, if you're a kid, because it keeps you healthy, it builds up that immunity. So even though it's super gross, I try and just let it happen, and then I follow behind with the elderberry. I'm like, oh, oh,
yeah,
take some more. So
yeah. Oh, that reminds me. My wife does like essential oils, so
yeah,
she's always pushing these capsules on us. So
yeah.
that's part of my son's thing, and my thing too. I use them too, but she's the
Yeah,
medicine doctor, the guru.
I'm a big fan. We use essential oils too, so I'm
Oh,
a
cool.
huge fan of essential oils. Generally, my kid is anxious a lot. She's kind of socially anxious, and she's kind of a little unsure at first. And so I put a little wild orange oil on her to kind of calm her nerves before I send her out into the world, and
Yeah,
that's been tremendous. And so we use thieves oil. We use all kinds of cool stuff to kind of boost up immune system and clean our air. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of essential oils too. Your wife is, yeah, like it.
very
Not
cool.
to encourage her, but I'm totally encouraging her.
No, she's all the way in it. So
I love it.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
so good. I think the more I started, at first I thought essential oils was witchy, you know,
yeah,
but the more I read about it, I thought, well, can't hurt. It can't be any more witchy than big pharma. So
true
after
that.
trying it out, I thought it's pretty rad. Like I'm kind of a big fan.
Yeah, yeah, and there definitely are those witchy people. I mean, especially in that's like I like to let everyone live and let live, but those it's a big tent, the essential oils tent. You've got people that use them. I assume like you and I do, And then you've got other people who think like, oh, I've got a baseball-sized tumor in my brain. Don't go to the
Yeah.
hospital. Just take some essential oil, bro. And it's like,
Oh man.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
to each his own, but I
Yeah.
totally understand the
Yeah. It seems
witchy
so,
thing.
just orange oil is going to make me feel good. Like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
that the
But like you said
science.
about big pharma, if people did actually read the vaccine inserts, before my son was born, that's when I started really hardcore
Yep.
pouring over that stuff and reading it in depth. And the thing that came to my mind without reading any of that stuff was like, this is like a witch's brew, like
Yeah.
aborted fetal cell lines, formaldehyde,
Oh God.
um,
Yeah.
and just from common sense, some of the proteins they use. I think I might be wrong here, so hopefully no one will crucify me for this, but like they might have been related to peanut proteins.
Okay.
And you see all these kids with these nut allergies now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even to a layperson like me, it's like, well, if you have this pathogen and your body has a huge response to it, that would make sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty much witch doctors. You get into the Tuskegee experiment, the
Oh yeah.
Guatemalan vaccine experiments,
Yep.
and that's just the tip of the iceberg. And you start
Yeah.
to realize, how am I going to talk to people about this? Because they literally are witch doctors and they're
Yep.
doing Nazi experiments on people,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
legally immune from any sort of lawsuit. And we're supposed to
Yes.
trust them. Like, it makes the brain tumor essential oil person not sound so crazy
Right.
after all.
Right. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm almost there, but I need a little bit more time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I
So,
agree. Man, I agree. So what is the healthcare system like in Japan? Is it for the most part less tyranny than the United States?
as far as vaccinations, yes. Our child is not vaccinated at all. We never had any problems except for a couple dirty looks from some nurses.
Okay.
And the reason for that is I think back in the mid 90s or early 90s, the MMR vaccine, there was a bunch of deaths and adverse events reported.
Mm-hmm.
And the Japanese government is interesting because they still, in a way, will listen to things like that if it happens. I think it's
Sure.
because of the cultural connection to nature and community here.
Sure.
So after that, it was no longer, it was taken off the recommended or the routine vaccination list, and it's only recommended now. None of it is mandatory.
Nice.
Payments, it's all super socialist. Taxes are super
Sure.
high here. It
Sure.
seems nice when you go to the doctor. It's really cheap, right? But when you look at your paycheck, it's not cheap.
Right. Right.
It's just a little magic trick. But yeah, I think it's still tyrannical though. The big pharma still runs and owns everything. If you go to the doctor for a cold here, they'll give you like 15 different bags of weird powders. You don't know what they are.
Oh wow.
You probably don't need them. Some of them might just be sugar.
Oh,
No one knows what's going on, but they're pushing all kinds of stuff.
oh man.
So, but one thing here is it is kind of live and let live, even though there's a lot of social judgment. So if people just say no to something, people tend to back down from that,
Okay.
even if it's just because they don't want to cause a scene.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
But I feel like there's also this cultural respect built in where it's like, that's another family. That's not me. It's none of my business.
That's nice.
So yeah, yeah. But it's just ultimately just as tyrannical, I think. And I think we'll really see that with this Pfizer vaccine that's supposed to be coming here in the end of February.
Mm,
We'll see what happens. But even some of the people I talk to, adult students of mine, they're full on statist. They're full on trust whatever the media says. But even they seem a little bit nervous about this new RNA thing. So, like you said, I don't know. I don't know what's going
yeah.
to happen.
I really don't either. And based on the few conversations I've had with various anarchists, the anarchy or autonomy or libertarian community seems pretty divided. There's about half that don't think the vaccines will do anything. I think they believe that enough people will stand up and say no. And then the other half, well, maybe three parties. Maybe the second party is totally going to be Armageddon, everyone's getting vaccinated, there's, vaccinated or shot in sight type belief.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I think that third belief, or that third group, are people like me that are just like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to try and be prepared as much as I can be. And I'm just going to kind of watch, and I'm just going to be
yeah.
super aware and super kind of cautious in what I inform people of, or what I, like say in public. And I think just kind of keep a low pro.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways that's probably the wisest position.
Yeah. Yeah. And
If you totally go full apocalypse and just destroy your own life preemptively, it's
yeah, I
not good,
see that. We're
right?
seeing that. Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and I, we're seeing a lot of people that have just decided to self detonate.
and I
And
understand that too.
ooh,
Like I have that tendency. Like their predictive programming in the news, like they're clamping down. I can understand it.
oh,
I
yeah.
I tend to think what's going to happen is people are probably going to be quietly starved out,
Yeah.
and that just seems like the worst thing to me because there won't be this open call for a resistance or organized. It'll just be, oh shit, what happened to Bob? I don't
Yeah.
know. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Oh, he
Yeah.
lost his job. Oh, and he wasn't able to go shopping, and I don't know. And then you know what I mean.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I don't know, but I think sitting back and watching is a very zen kind of way, being prepared for anything
Yeah.
and ready to move and not moving too early or too late.
Yeah. Identify your exits, identify
Yes,
what's going in that
exactly.
bag, and just kind of keep the bag close to you, and just kind of, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like for someone with social anxiety or an introvert attending a party.
Yeah, exactly right.
You're always,
Worst
you
case
never know.
scenario, I got the window,
Yeah, got the window. Yeah,
Yeah, I
totally.
bet big
I
time.
think your dissection down of the three camps there is pretty right on.
Yeah, I think it's so hard to keep your shit together. I personally, at least, I can speak for that. And I think to kind of watch the people that have the cortisol, the stress hormone just surging through their body, and I think that's no way to live, man. And then I think of the other people that are just super not even concerned at all, and I think that's no way to live, man. Like, you got to be prepared. And so I'm kind of
Yeah,
like, I want to be somewhere in the middle. Like, I
yeah,
want to know where the exits are, have my bug out bag ready, but also just kind of, it's going to be okay, you know?
yeah. And you can invite, like you hinted at, you can invite attention to yourself too, unwanted attention. Like if I bugged out today, people here and the government, they would be, or the local government, I mean, would be like,
Yeah.
yo, what's this guy doing? That's really suspicious. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Play it
Exactly right.
cool, smile, but always be ready
Yeah. I think,
because
I
it's
think
happening. I mean, it's definitely happening. I'm looking
it's
at these
happening.
headlines and it's just like boiling the frog. UK's on lockdown again.
Yes,
Did you see that video from Canada? Cops busting up a
I
man.
did.
That was like straight Nazi stuff. Like
Oh
it's
man.
happening, but like I said, it's just here and there in these little
Yep.
pockets, but it's easy to just shrug.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of times like those, I hate the digital age, because how much easier is life when you don't even know? Like, you don't even know what's happening in the UK. You can't even worry about it because you're so busy surviving in the USA. But then instead, the digital age, you're inundated with what's happening in Australia, what's happening in UK, and you can't help but get that fear to start to rise. And you're like, no, guy, no, like, just relax. But it's very difficult in the digital age being surrounded by, you know, stuff.
Totally, totally. And being able to process that. And then you've got friends that don't pay attention to that stuff. And they're like, what are you so worried about? And you're like,
Right.
dude,
You're
dude,
like, what is
dude,
happening?
don't you see what is freaking going on?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's for me. That's why I spend so much time. Well, part of the reason I spend a lot of time running now, like I like to do big, long runs. And because otherwise, like I'll give too much power to that, like, you know, it's not about being positive all the time, like that stupid new age thing, just be positive, be positive. It's actually
Yeah.
about being negative, but like,
Yeah.
you can turn that into an energy that's like, okay, we want to build something new
Right.
that involves destroying this old shit instead of
Yes.
trying to destroy us. Oh my God, giving all your
Exactly.
into that. So yeah, I don't
Exactly.
know. I'm just trying to go day by day, day by day.
The best thing to do right now, I think, is not plan too much in the future, but don't be too complacent either. Just kind of be on your tiptoes ready.
Yep. And give yourself things to look forward to, even if it's next month or a couple weeks.
That's definitely a big plus for sure. Is don't stop the self care. I think that's really important, and self care looks different for everybody. So self care for me is a pedicure. Self care for you is probably not a pedicure, but big fan of self care for you. So that we're all kind of taking care of ourselves. If that means on the weekend spending an hour extra in bed to read, do it. If it makes your heart happy, we need that. So, big fan of
Totally,
that.
totally. And I've noticed that planning little runs or planning parties kind of helps me to weather the negativity that comes
Yes.
at me every day. As a teacher, I hear my students now every day, how was your weekend? How was your holiday? And it's so disappointing and so fucking annoying because I'm sorry to any students if you end up hearing this. I doubt you listen to English interviews or whatever, but it's like, well, I really wanted to see my grandchildren, but we can't
Oh,
because Corona. And it's like, I don't even feel like a grandmother because Corona.
oh,
Tell them like you are worrying too much, but there's only so much you can say.
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, but
It's
when I
true.
have something planned, like in those moments, I think, all right, I'm gonna run with my really cool buddy who thinks this is all bullshit in 2 weeks. And at that
Nice.
time, we're gonna talk about what bullshit this is. I can kind of weather the storm
Yes.
that way. Yeah.
That's important. I mean, it is so important. And we talk about having a community, and it doesn't necessarily have to be proximity. It's great when it is, but that online community is super vital right now. And going back to Facebook has a purpose. That community of, you're right, you're validated, this is
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
And the human validation is such an important human emotion. And wherever you get it, whether it's online, whether it's a long distance run with a buddy, whether it's a pen pal that you have that you write every month or whatever, super important to have that validation that you're not going insane, that you're not the only one, that you're not alone. So I
Totally.
highly encourage community, which also uh, that starving people out quietly. The more strong of a community you have, maybe Phyllis down the road knows that Bob got laid off and she's been bringing him food for the past week. Just having that community that I have to check on Graham. It's been a while. I think that's super important right now, is to just take care of each other.
100%. And look at what government does. It's always about atomization. Once you start to
Yes,
pay attention, it's always about we want to raise your kid or depend on us.
exactly.
And it seems obvious to us, right? But I remember when I was a statist, I never really thought of things that way.
Right.
But if they really cared, why weren't they encouraging people to be more independent? They never
Yeah,
do.
they never do.
It's the same way Big Pharma never says, get some sunshine, go exercise.
Eat an apple.
Like the most basic thing you could do to fight a disease, and they're not suggesting it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
yeah,
saw that turn in our medical system in the United States probably about the time that you went to Japan. About 10 years ago, my doctor stopped telling me diet and exercise, and he
really
started writing me prescriptions for high blood pressure, pre-diabetes, high cholesterol, uh, appetite suppressant, instead of, are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating enough fiber, protein? So instead of all of that, it went straight to pharmaceuticals about 10 years ago. And
interesting.
so I've been really curious about kind of all of that, which I guess COVID has been kind of a nice opportunity to give me time to explore that further, to see kind of this medical tyranny has been going on for a decade before COVID. But
Yeah.
but they've been conditioning us for a long time to get to this place, and it's been real weird. So it's been kind of a blessing and a curse to have COVID, because I've been learning a lot about the enemy. I'm learning a lot about the playbook that they're using against me, and how to kind of navigate it, and how to kind of circumvent it, and how to get out of the rat race. And so COVID's kind of a blessing to me a little bit, just because I'm kind of like, oh, I see it all. So, but
Yeah.
again, it's hard to go back. It's hard to look at anything without that skeptic eye. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess.
Great points. Yeah, totally. It's also revealed to me like a lot of the real nature of a lot of the people around me, even
Oh,
friends
big.
that
Yeah.
you didn't know.
Like, I thought I
Uh,
knew you. Yeah. Yeah.
there's one kind of person that maybe says, "Hi, I believe everything the news says, and you're crazy." But when it comes to crunch time, if it comes between, selling out a friend or following the narrative, just because of their heart or their sense as a human, they will back you up. But there's this other thing that's been revealed in people. It's like, holy cow, I had no idea you were so vicious. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of that online, and it just kind of makes me like some of the people that are like 100% on COVID is fine. Like, if wear a mask, I don't care. Wear a mask,
yeah,
get the vaccine, I don't care. Just leave me out of it. But some of those people are kind of like, if you don't get this vaccine, I hope you and your family are dead by tomorrow. And I'm like, what? Like, we just went from 0 to 60, lady. Like,
yeah.
how
Well, I
much of
think
a
it's
humanitarian are
given
you?
some people sorry, yeah. No, I think it's given some people an identity. Like, this,
Oh,
this is my identity. Like, it's this feeling of righteousness. I can shame anyone, and
God,
it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird.
to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I
Well,
won't keep
luckily,
you.
most of the people close to me are not insane, but I have seen it. And it's
I
sad because viruses are scary. Like I used to be quite a germaphobe, so that's why it makes me laugh when people tell me I don't care. It's like, no,
right.
I've been caring for as I remember you not caring about anything. Like the flu, whatever. I've been caring a long time, and now you suddenly care. What's with that?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, same. I'm still a bit of a germaphobe. I'm not even gonna
Yeah,
lie. Like, I'm still
yeah,
kind of like,
yeah, yeah. Well, now it's the masked people that are coughing all over me and sneezing and stuff on trains. A lot
Yeah.
of them seem very sick. So, and I don't think it's funny when someone's sick, but it's just funny that, the preaching. And then, like this morning, I'm on a train, dude's hacking up a lung. They asked, maybe you
Oh
shouldn't
man.
breathe in your own air from a
Oh,
dirty thing that you didn't wash.
for months. It,
Yeah.
the mask people just make me scratch my head, just on so many different levels. Just it almost seems like the people around here that wear the mask. I have a couple friends that wear a mask religiously, and it's almost like their shield. They stop washing their hands. They
Yeah.
they they
Yeah.
stop taking responsibility for their health because they've got their mask on, so they don't have to.
Oh, very interesting.
Oh, it's so weird. And I'm like, well, do you wash the mask? Well, no. That's so weird.
That's
So,
really interesting you say that because my other friend here said something I didn't quite understand it at first, but he's like, dude, these same people that are really preachy about the mask, these are the same people that don't wash their hands after they use the bathroom.
true story.
And I was like, what
True
do you
story.
mean? And now I think I get it.
Yeah, they,
Yeah,
they they don't have to. They got their magic mask on. The government says the mask will protect them. The government stopped talking about washing your hands months ago. Now it's only the
yeah,
mask.
that's a good point.
Super weird.
And the
Super.
other bad thing about the mask is now it's been polarized too. So you're either like pro mask or anti mask. But like in
Yeah,
this country, everyone's worn masks since I've been here at
sure,
different times of the year. I have no
sure.
problem with it. Like I had a bad sinus infection. I wore one. It keeps
Yeah,
the air warm in the winter. So that's sad too, because you've also got people in the States everywhere that just want to wear a mask for allergies or something, and they get lumped in. Oh, you must support Joe Biden. Like,
Oh,
oh,
hell.
I don't want to wear a mask. You must be a Trump supporter. It's like, dude, is this about health or,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
No, everything has been politicized. Everything's been monetized. Everything's been hijacked. It's such a, it's like bizarro world out there.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I totally feel walking into a grocery store and have like 300 people stop shopping and turn and look at me. It's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in like a Alfred Hitchcock movie right now. Like I like can't handle it right now. I'm like freaking
Yeah.
out, man.
And
So
especially, you
weird.
seem like a pretty open-minded, kind person. I think it's especially hard on people that are like that.
Absolutely.
I know some people that just literally don't give a fuck what anyone thinks of them, and they live like that, so they're fine. But
Yeah.
when it comes down to brass tacks, for me, I don't care either. I'm going to do what I want, but I really do care, probably too much.
Yeah. Same.
So
Same.
like for you walking into the grocery store, that must be super stressful.
Oh.
Just don't look at me. I'm just here to shop.
I
You
keep
know.
my eyes down. I just, if I
Yeah.
don't look at them, then maybe I won't feel their eyes as much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's hard, but I
It is hard.
just one day at a time, like you said, like try and maximize my time out, try and get it all done with as little interaction as possible and try and find friends for eggs instead of the grocery store and find just trying to like
Friends
stay
with eggs. Yeah.
friends with eggs.
Well, I can kind of understand why people become sociopaths now too. Like I just, some days I'm walking, I start fantasizing about, well, I'm just gonna start coughing on people. Like I'm not really considering it, but it's like this is so stupid that
It
I'm just gonna
is.
start sneezing everywhere because I want to watch people be afraid. And
It's yeah.
it's borderline sociopathic, but
Yeah.
like that's what this does to people. So the high suicide rate, the depression, it's all understandable.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. I told a friend I was going to start like hacking or licking groceries in the shelf or whatever and have people
Yeah.
just completely lose their minds. And of course I won't. I'm sure you'd get charged with some biohazard
Right.
crime, but you almost kind of like, it's almost like when you have a scab and it's a scab and it hurts, but you can't stop picking at it. It's kind of the same. Like, I know you're afraid and I know it's a problem, but I just want to cough on you anyway because that's where the weakest link is. And I feel like I
Exactly.
have to pick at it. Just stop it.
Because you're so afraid, like you
Yeah,
deserve
you
this.
you
I
deserve
have
to
your
be
fear.
punished. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, it is a little sociopathic for sure.
It's interesting. Well, I mean, it's crazy. Like I went to the bathroom here the other day and there was a sign by the toilet that said, please close the toilet lid because COVID can escape from the toilet bowl. And it's like, like, am I gonna wake up at some point? This is some stupid shit I would dream up. Like,
Oh
I don't
God.
know. So I don't close toilets anymore. That's my little sociopathy. Like, here, have some COVID from the toilet.
Some
Uh,
COVID from me flushing.
yeah, it's insane.
Oh, oh God, that's hilarious. I find now that when I do leave the house, I become deaf, and I don't talk to people. I do read lips a little bit. I'm kind of hard of hearing. I'm definitely not deaf, but in a COVID world, I'm deaf. I can't see what you're saying with your mask on, therefore, I will not acknowledge you.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
take your mask off to talk to me, and I'll talk to you like a person, but I can't take you
yeah. I read your
seriously with
post
that
about
on.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
was
just
really
can't.
vibing with that because it's disrespectful, actually. I
Yeah,
mean,
I can't. I can't even. And so I can't even tell you how many people think in town that I'm probably legitimately deaf because, like I sign thank you and I'm done. Like I'm like don't acknowledge me. I won't acknowledge you. Let me just get through this. We don't
yeah,
have to talk to each other. Like let me just get through this. You just let me leave with my groceries.
right. From what
So
I've seen of the States, it's way worse as far as people flipping out and getting angry at people. You
Yeah,
know, here people are too timid. So even if someone does hate me, they're going to be too afraid to say anything. So that's nice.
yeah.
But the videos I'm seeing from the States, like people are losing their shit, you know, accusing people. It's
You know,
horrible.
it is horrible, and I think people are losing that compassion. I think people are forgetting that we're all just trying to survive. We're all just trying to make our way. And it looks different for everybody, you know, because our ways are different, you know, like our destinations are different. And so I think that compassion got lost. Like COVID ate compassion because now it's you against me. Well, or it's you against my grandma.
Right.
And I'm like, not even close. We're on the same fucking team. You know, like I'm cheering for grandma just like you, except I want you to visit her. That's the only difference, and you won't.
Right.
But everything else, it's just so it's
And
just
what does
so
that say about
crazy.
those people? Like even people that we call friends that say, "Oh, you're gonna kill grandma." Like the deeper message is, you think I'm so reckless and evil. Like that's what you just said to me.
Yeah.
You
Like
know?
I'm
And how
like
many people do you know that really want to kill people? It's like you said, everyone's trying to survive. No
we
one's, you
all are.
know.
Yeah. And so what I've been trying to do as of recently is all of the nasty stares I've been getting is I'm trying to remind myself they're afraid, they're trying to make their way, just
Yep.
get in and out as quick as possible and just kind of minimize the interaction. And it is what it is, you know, but adapt, survive, overcome, you know. So
Yeah, and I've seen no media on people that actually are fully deaf either. Like, what about them? Some
what
people
about them? Yeah.
need to read lips. I have a hard time hearing these people from behind a vinyl sheet and their mask.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And
there's
at
no
least
compassion there. Zero. Nobody cares.
no, and they take away that humanity, you know, they take away the face, they take away the smile. And I think a smile is the oldest form of communication, you know. And I've said this before that I think even in prehistoric times, early man could identify a friendly tribe through a smile. That's someone I could probably trade with. They smiled at me versus probably stay away from them. They look kind of mean. You
Right.
take that away,
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
dehumanized an entire population, which I think is why COVID ate compassion, because there's no room for humanity. And you're not compassionate towards non-sentient beings. And that's kind of what we've become, is just complex formulation of cells that are just kind of bumping into each other, but that's about it. You know, there's no
Yeah.
thought there.
Personally, I'm 100% convinced that that was the goal.
Yeah.
Given the logic of the narratives that are going around, that the dehumanization was part and parcel of the goal.
Yeah, I agree.
Demoralization is a word that has struck me really powerfully since this started.
Yeah.
Watching parades get canceled,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
anything that makes people come together and feel happy and alive and close. Those are the things that they are canceling.
Yep.
No, anything that's conflict, well, go for it. You know,
Yeah.
go. So yeah, it's
Smash windows. Rawr. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly
create the
right.
division. So yeah, and teaching kids, I think we are in for a big shock in 10 years. A lot of these little kids are going to be psychos. Like, the ones
Yeah.
I teach are great, but I'm listening to how they talk, and children as a whole in general are going to have this totally warped. First of all, they're not seeing faces,
Right.
and just listening to what they say to me, like, "Oh, you're the only one without a mask, teacher. Like, don't you care about COVID?" Like, so it's implanted in their brains that I'm sort of some sort of reckless person
Right.
already, and it's just the beginning.
Right.
So I think in 10, 20 years, it's just going to be really, really uh, sad to see how people interact or don't interact.
It's going to be interesting. There are
Yeah,
definitely long-term psychological effects that are going to affect our children. Like there's no way that you can take away this much humanity, take away this much interaction, because they're social creatures, like to the max.
to the max.
Like, yeah, they have to have that kid time. They have to have that play time. You take that away, I don't even know if we know the total effects yet. We've read stories, thanks to Rudyard Kipling, about Mowgli, and I think we're probably going to see a whole shitload of Mowglis that just don't know how to interact. They're slugging girls over the head and dragging them back to the cave because they have no other social skills. They have no other, like, how do you woo a woman in COVID? How do you date in COVID? I've seen so many dating apps where, like, I went on a date and I didn't wear a mask and the person, like, went to the bathroom and never came back. And, like, such a weird time to navigate right now, that I think you're absolutely right. And probably not even 10 years, probably
Yeah,
5 years, we're going to see some really messed up soon to be adults.
yeah,
And my heart is just going to explode for them. And what do you do? I don't know. Lead by example, maybe. You can be a really cool human that's compassionate and not wear a mask. Hope.
yeah. Yeah, and the mirroring from the parents' face is super huge to just basic development. And then
Yeah,
these kids are gonna have kids, but the difference will be that those next kids will never have even experienced even a little bit of the world before it. So,
right. They'll have no idea.
yep,
Yeah,
yep,
and how our history books are going to look even then is going to be really interesting. Like, it's
true.
just going to be real weird for a long time, I think. Oh man. Well, it's been really great to talk to you, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's already been an hour, but I'm just so thrilled to be able to sit down with you and talk with you. And I'm such a big fangirl, and just chatting with you has been really, really great. And hopefully we can do it again. Maybe less recording and more just talking, but I very much enjoyed my time with you. And I thank you very much for spending a little time with me and getting to know you better, and having a solid kick ass conversation with you has been really nice. So thank you.
Thanks. No, the feeling is totally mutual. So
Awesome.
I really have fun and really appreciate it. So,
Excellent. Well,
yep,
we come out on the 15th of January.
cool.
You can sign up for the magazine for it to be delivered directly to your email at rtamagazine.com. Otherwise, I'll shoot you a link when I get everything edited and written out, and I'll shoot you a link so you can check it out.
Right on. I'm looking forward to it.
Yay. And if you have any links to any stuff that you got going on that you want to share, if you've got any side hustles, if you've got any just whatever, shoot me over some links and I'll hyperlink them up so that people can contact you, reach out,
Oh, sweet.
whatever.
Awesome. Cool. Awesome. All right.
Yay.
Thanks a lot, Dharma. I appreciate it.
I am so happy. Thank you very much, Graham. I hope you have a really excellent day, and, stay healthy and take care of each other.
Yep, you as well.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.